Conquer the Sky, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Zay, collectively known as SoCal Uncensored or
SCU! This is Catch, Hook, and Shoot, the worst podcast I've ever been on. Word.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Catch, Hook, and Shoot, the best podcast you've never heard of. My name's Tom. I am your host. Today is Sunday, July the 26th, 2020. I want to thank everybody for listening, watching, and subscribing on YouTube, Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you get your podcasts from. Make sure you're following on social media on all platforms. You can find the show at Catch, Hook, Shoot. Head to patreon.com/catchhookshoot for bonus content, which is still being updated, so bear with me on that one for a little bit longer. Also at the prowrestlingtees.com/catchhookshoot for all your t-shirt needs. And brand new this week, just started up today, head to catchhookshoot.bigcartel.com. Got a brand new merchandise store there. Got some different t-shirt designs that you won't find on Pro Wrestling Tees. Got a brand new hat design over there. Head over there and check it out. For the first week to celebrate the launch of the store, if you use promo code CHS10, you get 10% off your entire order. So head over there and check it out. It's catchhookshoot.bigcartel.com. I will be posting pictures of all the different shirts that are available there up on all of our social media right after the show goes up today. So yeah, head over there, check it out, grab a shirt, grab a hat, and hopefully I'll be able to add even more merchandise there in the coming days and weeks and months and everything. But yeah, once again, that's catchhookshoot.bigcartel.com. Use code CHS10 for the first week to get 10% off your entire order. So head over there and check that out. And if you ever want to shoot me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. So let's get rolling right along with all the goings on in the world of professional wrestling this week, starting it all off like we always do with the match of the week. So the match of the week this week comes from AEW Dynamite. This past Thursday, it was the open challenge from Cody Rhodes for the TNT Championship, and the man who answered the challenge this week was Eddie Kingston, making his AEW debut. I'm a huge Eddie Kingston fan. This was an awesome surprise from AEW, and now I know a lot of people out there, like mainstream wrestling fans, not real familiar with Eddie Kingston. If you haven't seen him in Impact or NWA, or if you don't follow the independents, you may not be real familiar with them. Eddie Kingston been in the business for I want to say 18 years, and is just an indie icon basically. And I actually got to meet Eddie Kingston last year at Starcaster in Chicago, just by chance. I was standing outside, and he happened to come out, and got the chance to talk to him. Very cool guy, and yeah, him and Cody put on a great match. It was a no holds barred match, so we saw some a lot of weapons being used and things like that, and it was a great match. It was a great introduction for Eddie Kingston to the AEW audience. So hopefully, I haven't seen anything saying he's been signed to a contract, but hopefully this is not the last time we'll see him in AEW. So yeah, the match of the week this week: Eddie Kingston versus Cody Rhodes for the TNT Championship from AEW Dynamite this past week. Make sure you check this one out because it was a really cool match. So moving into our next segment here, it is my top 3 highlights of the week, and it is called the 3 Count. First up on the 3 count this week was the swamp fight between Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt from the horror show at Extreme Rules pay-per-view last week. I liked this match. Well, I don't know if you can actually call it a match, but it was a cinematic match. I thought it was entertaining. It was like a little mini horror movie, kind of like the Friday the 13th movies is what it reminded me of quite a bit. And I thought it was cool. I thought it was entertaining. I mean, anybody who went into this expecting a straight up wrestling match in a swamp, you're going to be disappointed because that's not what you got. That's not what you should have been expecting from this. It was a non-title match, and yeah, it was just like I said, it was like a little mini horror movie, very reminiscent of the Friday the 13th movies from the 80s. And I thought it was pretty cool. We saw a lot of interesting little spots. We saw Alexa Bliss had a cameo in it as I guess it was supposed to be Sister Abigail, kind of distracting or entrancing Braun Strowman at one point. Yeah, we saw old school Bray Wyatt from the Wyatt family days. Saw some Wyatt family members attacking Braun Strowman at one point. Obviously, it wasn't Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, but I think that was kind of the implication that they were trying to make. And at the very end of the match, we saw the reemergence of the Fiend pulling Braun Strowman under the water in the swamp. So yeah, it looks like the Fiend is going to be making his return to WWE. Second up on the 3 count this week, Sammy Guevara made his return at AEW Dynamite, coming back from suspension after some controversial comments that he made several years ago came to light during the speaking out movement about a month ago. And yeah, Sammy made his return, rejoined the Inner Circle. Good to see Sammy back on TV. Hopefully he's I'm assuming he successfully completed his sensitivity training and the other other stuff that Tony Khan and AEW management wanted him to complete prior to his return. So we'll have to see going forward, if Sammy just kind of fits right back in, where he was before he left. But yeah, for right now, Sammy Guevara back with the Inner Circle. And number 3 on the 3 count, again, Eddie Kingston making his debut on AEW. Like I said, I hope this is not the last that we've seen of Kingston in AEW. Haven't seen anything about him being signed to a contract, but yeah, I think he'd be a great addition to that roster, especially given he does have history with some of the guys there. He at one point was the manager of LAX, Santana and Ortiz in Impact, so that's definitely there's a story to be told there. So hopefully we'll see some more Kingston in AEW in the coming days. Moving on to some news and rumors for this week, starting off with the pay-per-view last week, the horror show at Extreme Rules, as it was known. We've got new Smackdown Tag Team Champions in Cesaro and Nakamura, and yeah, they were able to take those titles in a tables match against the New Day. Little bit different for a tables match. You only had to put one member of a team through a table. Typically in a tag team tables match, both members of a team have to go through a table for the match to end. This time that was not the case. Kofi Kingston was the one ended up being put through the table and apparently was injured. I'll get a little more into that when we get to the SmackDown news here. But yeah, new SmackDown Tag Team Champions are Cesaro and Nakamura. Bayley was able to retain the SmackDown Women's title against Nikki Cross. MVP declared himself the United States champion via forfeit. Apollo Crews apparently not cleared to compete, so there was no match. MVP just came out to the ring and declared himself the champion. Don't think that's quite how it works, but that's what MVP is going with. WWE has said that Apollo Crews is still the U.S. champion, so we'll have to see what's going to happen with this. Obviously, the storyline is going to continue whenever Apollo is able to come back. Then we had the eye for an eye match with Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio. Now, the match itself was fantastic, which you'd expect nothing less from Seth and Rey. The ending, a little bit corny. Seth Rollins was victorious in this one after, excuse me. Seth Rollins was victorious after, quote-unquote, taking out Rey Mysterio's eye. He basically pressed his eye into the corner of the ring stairs again, and when they showed a close up of Rey, they did some. Honestly, it looked like maybe a prosthetic eye, like a glass eye, or possibly some type of marble or something like that. I don't know, but that Rey was holding under his hand to make it appear that his eye had been taken out of its socket, and I get what they were going for. They were trying to get the point across without making it too graphic and gruesome and things like that, because I think it could have been done much better. I mean, WWE has a relationship with Tom Savini's studio. Tom Savini, of course, a makeup effects master for horror movies and things like that. He's the one, it was his studio that made Bray Wyatt's Fiend mask and everything like that. So, I mean, they could have done something more realistic with like practical makeup effects and things like that. There was even talk of possibly using CGI for this match for the eye coming out and things like that. Obviously, none of that happened. It was very toned down. Then, after the spot where Ray apparently lost his eye, Seth Rollins was getting violently ill at ringside after seeing it, and it was just kind of a weird ending. The ending wasn't the greatest to me. That's just my opinion, but the match itself was fantastic. So take the good with the bad on this one. But yeah, Seth Rollins was victorious in the eye for an eye match, and according to the updates from WWE, they were able to save Ray's eye. The optic nerve wasn't severed, so it it could be fixed and things like that. So I'm sure we'll see Rey Mysterio back at some point. Then we had the Raw Women's Championship, Sasha Banks versus Asuka. Again, another great match between these two women. Sasha Banks did leave with the title. Yeah, again, kind of a schmaz type ending. We saw some interference from Bayley, and then Asuka went to spray the mist in Sasha's eyes. Sasha moved out of the way. The referee caught the mist, so Bayley jumped in the ring, took the referee's shirt, put it on, and counted the 3 count for Sasha Banks. But WWE has said Asuka is still the Raw Women's Champion. We'll get a little more into that in the Raw news coming up here in a couple of minutes. But yeah, Sasha did leave with the Raw Women's title. Then we saw Drew McIntyre retain the WWE Championship against Dolph Ziggler. I don't think that was any surprise to anybody. I mean, as great as Ziggler is in the ring, I just don't think at this point WWE views him as a top guy or as the WWE Champion. He's a great opponent for Drew. They put on great matches together, but I don't think we're going to see any title changes between these two any time at all, honestly. Then I already talked about the swamp fight between Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman. I found it very entertaining. I saw a lot of people were, kind of complaining about it online and things like that. And, guys, it is what it is. It's a cinematic match. It's not meant to be a mat wrestling clinic. I mean, they call it a match, but it's not really a match. Like I said, it was more like a mini horror movie, and if you look at it for what it was, I thought it was pretty good. So yeah, that's the recap of the horror show at Extreme Rules. Not a bad pay-per-view. I thought it was definitely worth the watch. Some really good matches, some entertaining spots, especially with that swamp fight. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out yet, go back and give it a look, because there was some pretty good stuff on this pay-per-view. Moving into Monday Night Raw, we saw Seth Rollins defeat Aleister Black, and then after the match, Rollins and Buddy Murphy just attacked and beat down Aleister Black, and were really working over his arm, and basically made it look like Black's arm has been injured and he's going to be out for a while. Now, the rumor surrounding this is that Vince McMahon is not real high on Aleister Black, so he's just kind of being taken off TV for no real reason. He's not injured or anything. They're just taking him off TV. If that is true, that's horrible, honestly, because Aleister Black, one of the best guys WWE has right now, one of the best newer guys that WWE has right now, definitely a fan favorite, and he belongs in that main event, main storyline picture. So for them to just kind of arbitrarily take him off of TV just because Vince McMahon isn't his biggest fan is just I don't know. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but it is what it is. I mean, it's, Vince is the man, Vince is the boss, so that's just kind of how it goes. We also saw an appearance from Ron Simmons on Monday Night Raw, having a talk backstage with MVP and Bobby Lashley. Now, this is kind of hinting at a rumor that had been going around about WWE reforming the Nation of Domination with MVP and Lashley and some other stars who were, there were a number of other guys that were named as possibly being part of that stable. So this really kind of feeds into that rumor. We did see a new member of MVP's group, and that new member is Shelton Benjamin, who won the 24/7 championship from R-Truth. So, and it looks like the name of this new faction is Hurt Business, and like I said, right now that's MVP, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin. And I mean, my God, that's a great faction right there. MVP, one of the better talkers in the business right now, and with Lashley, you've just got size and strength and agility and just a all-around good wrestler in Bobby Lashley. And Shelton Benjamin, for many years, has been acknowledged as the best pure athlete in WWE. So I'm liking this group. I'm interested to see where they're going to go, who else they may add. We also saw the return of Mustafa Ali on Monday Night Raw, so he has officially moved over from Smackdown. And I'm guessing the whole Smackdown hacker thing is done, because that was pretty much established that was going to be Mustafa Ali when he came back, but we haven't seen any of those hacker vignettes in a number of weeks, and now Ali is back on Monday Night Raw, so kind of disappointing. I was liking the hacker thing. I think a lot of fans were interested in that. I wish they would have seen that one through, but it is what it is again. So we saw Mustafa Ali, Cedric Alexander, and Ricochet pick up a victory over MVP, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin in a pretty good six-man match there. We found out from Stephanie McMahon that Sasha Banks and Asuka are going to have a rematch this week on Raw for the Raw Women's Championship, and there will be no champion's advantage in this match. Basically, the way that Stephanie McMahon made it sound was that neither woman is the champion right now because of the way that the match ended. So the winner of this match is going to be the Raw Women's Champion, obviously, but if Stephanie specified if there's any interference from Bayley, any kind of shenanigans, whatever, Sasha's going to lose. So it should be a good match between these two on Raw. I'm curious to see who's going to come out on top in this one. I kind of have a feeling Sasha's going to end up with that title, but I could be wrong. So, just have to wait and see. We saw Kairi Sane defeat Bayley on Monday Night Raw, and this, if what's been out there on social media is true, this was Kairi Sane's last match in WWE. Apparently, she is going back to Japan. She's going to be an ambassador for WWE, but her in-ring career in WWE is apparently over, which is kind of sad. Kairi Sane, a fantastic wrestler, and her and Asuka as a tag team was great. I love the Kabuki Warriors. And kind of sad that Kairi's in-ring career is done, but obviously if that's a choice that she's made, that's what's best for her. I know she recently got married, obviously wants to be home in Japan with her husband, so, hey, more power to her, and, she's still going to be under the WWE umbrella as an ambassador. That's great. To increase WWE's presence in Japan, which is honestly is their top competition. Is that's one area where WWE has never been able to get. I mean, they run shows in Japan, obviously, but they don't have a huge presence there because the top company in Japan is obviously New Japan. So it gives WWE a little bit more of a presence in Japan. We also found out that Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler are going to have a rematch, and this time Drew is going to be picking the stipulation. Now, they haven't said when this match is going to take place, so I don't know if it's going to be at SummerSlam, if it's going to be on Raw, what's going to happen with that, so we'll have to wait and see. And then we had the unsanctioned match between Randy Orton and the Big Show, which, of course, ended with Orton picking up the victory and punting Big Show in the head, so I'm guessing we're not going to see Show on TV for a little while again. But, Randy Orton is back to his full-on legend killer gimmick, so I'm curious to see who they're going to throw at him next. I also read a rumor that Ric Flair potentially is potentially done as Randy Orton's manager. Not that he's leaving WWE or anything, just, WWE kind of brought him back in for that name recognition to give the ratings a little bit of a boost, and, it was just a temporary situation. He was never meant to be Randy Orton's full-time manager or advisor or whatever it might be. Moving on to NXT, Keith Lee has relinquished the North American Championship to focus on defending the NXT title. A lot of people were complaining about this move, saying, "Oh, what was the point of the title for title match and this and that?" And you know what? I'm sorry, these people are complaining just to complain. I mean, they must be new or something like that, because most often when one guy has both of the top titles, he will relinquish the lower championship, like the Ultimate Warrior did back in the day when he won the WWE title from Hulk Hogan. He relinquished the Intercontinental title. It's that's just what's done. It's rare that you see guys holding, both titles like that. I mean, Seth Rollins did it with the WWE title and the US title for a little while, but more often than not, the lower card, or the mid card title, I should say, would be is relinquished, and there's some type of tournament or something along those lines to crown a new champion. In this case, NXT is holding a series of triple threat matches, and the winners of those triple threat matches will move on to the next NXT takeover for a ladder match for the title. So I'm liking the way that they're going to fill the North American Championship. That first triple threat match took place this week, and it was won by Bronson Reed. A little bit of a surprise, but a welcome one, definitely. So Bronson Reed has qualified for that ladder match coming up at NXT TakeOver. We saw a rematch between Oney Lorcan and Timothy Thatcher. Another just clinic between these two guys. I mean, as far as wrestling goes, I don't think you're going to find two better in NXT than Oney Lorcan and Timothy Thatcher. So, if you haven't checked this one out, watch their match from NXT this past week, and I mean, what else can I say? They put on a clinic. Let's see. Mercedes Martinez has apparently joined the Robert Stone brand. She attacked Shotzi Blackheart after she ran over Stone with her tank again, and this was after Shotzi had defeated Aaliyah in a match. So Mercedes Martinez, part of the Robert Stone brand with Aaliyah. So Robert Stone building himself an interesting little stable there in NXT. And then the main event, we saw Karrion Kross defeat Dominik Dijakovic. Pretty good match between these two. Keith Lee came out towards the end of the match because Kross was just dominating Dijakovic, and while Keith Lee was at ringside, Kross was basically just torturing Dijakovic right in front of Lee's face, just to try to get a reaction out of him, or to show him what he's capable of. But Kross was victorious in that match. Moving on to NXT, Nikki Cross picked up a victory over Alexa Bliss to earn herself another shot at Bayley's SmackDown Women's Championship. The Firefly Funhouse came back, and basically Bray Wyatt made it clear that it's now the Fiend's turn to go after Braun Strowman. So pretty sure that will be a SummerSlam match, the Fiend versus Braun Strowman for the Universal Championship, and would not surprise me to see the Fiend with the Universal title again after that one. Saw Matt Riddle call out King Corbin, and Corbin did come out to the stage, basically saying, Riddle's not worthy of a match with him, and he shouldn't even be there, and this and that, typical heel stuff, and basically put a bounty, or what he called a king's ransom, on Riddle. So I'm sure we're going to see in the coming weeks a lot of people going after Matt Riddle to try to collect on that bounty. And we found out that Kofi Kingston, like I said earlier, was injured in that tables match at Extreme Rules. And the segment in the back was kind of interesting because it was Kofi talking to Big E, and basically saying that he's going to be out for at least 6 weeks. Xavier Woods, of course, is still out with from his Achilles injury. And so Big E is pretty much on his own, and we saw Kofi telling Big E, it's your time. So they're hinting at a Big E singles run, which a lot of people have been pushing for a long time now. So should be cool to see what Big E can do on his own. It would not bother me in the slightest to see him, find his way into a title picture somewhere. So definitely something to pay attention to over the next few weeks. And then found out next week we're going to see an Intercontinental title match between AJ Styles and Grand Metalik. Interesting pairing here. Grand Metalik won a 4-way match to win the title shot for next week, so it should be a great match. Grand Metalik, great high flyer. AJ Styles, probably the best all around the WWE has right now. Well, that would be between AJ and Randy Orton, quite honestly, for the best all around wrestler in WWE. But yeah, AJ versus Grand Metalik next week for the Intercontinental title. And we had the bar fight between Sheamus and Jeff Hardy. And again, this was another cinematic match. It was, it was like a kind of like a fight scene out of a movie almost, taking place in a bar, obviously. And, a lot of people are not big on these cinematic matches. WWE may be doing them a little too often. I said when they did the Boneyard match at WrestleMania, these cinematic matches can be very, very good if they're done sparingly. But of course, it's WWE. They get a good reaction to something, they are going to continue doing it over and over and over and over again. And that's the case with these cinematic matches. And sometimes they're good, like the Swamp Fight, in my opinion. Sometimes they're not so good. But this one was okay. It wasn't horrible, wasn't the greatest thing WWE's put out in a long time, but yeah, Sheamus and Jeff Hardy in the bar fight I thought was pretty good. Jeff Hardy was victorious in that one. And some other kind of miscellaneous WWE news. Edge and Finn Balor are kind of pushing for a match with each other, which I find very interesting. That's a match that I would love to see. And that's, kind of came about from Robert Stone trying to recruit Edge on social media, and one of Edge's conditions for joining the Robert Stone brand, among many other ridiculous things, was he wants a match with Finn Balor at NXT TakeOver. I think that's a match that pretty much any WWE fan is going to go insane for. I mean, yeah, like I said, that's one that I personally would love to see. So, obviously Edge is still going to be out of action for quite some time, but I would not mind seeing that match happen when Edge is able to come back. Moving on to AEW, Taz has a new member of his camp, and that is Ricky Starks. So Ricky Starks and Brian Cage, both now managed by Taz, and they once again attacked Darby Allin, both on AEW Dark and on Dynamite. So they're really building this Darby versus Cage feud. And but unfortunately, if what I read is true, Darby Allin did suffer a concussion during the attack on AEW Dynamite. When Ricky Starks came out, attacked him from behind, Darby went into the ring ropes pretty hard. If you go back and watch it, you can see he looks like he's almost knocked unconscious at one point. And so the rumor is that he suffered a concussion. Don't know how severe, don't know how long it would keep him out, but hopefully it's not as bad as it looked, because like I said, when Ricky Starks attacked him from behind, he was outside the ring on the ramp to the ring. Ricky Starks came from behind, knocked Darby into the ring ropes, and Darby looked like he was knocked out. I mean, he looked like he was unconscious. So hopefully it's not quite as bad. Again, we saw the AEW debut of Eddie Kingston against Cody for the TNT title. It was also announced there's going to be a women's tag team tournament in the coming weeks in AEW. 16 women, 8 teams. They're calling it the Deadly Draw. Now, immediately the first thing I thought of was the Lethal Lottery from WCW, where the partners are picked at random, and it's kind of like a tournament and things like that. So I'm guessing that's kind of going to be the same concept, where the teams are going to be randomly placed together. But not 100% sure. They didn't go over all of the rules, but I think this is a good way to showcase the women's division for AEW. Then we saw the Young Bucks were victorious against the Butcher and the Blade in a Falls Count Anywhere match. This match was just fun. It was all over the place, all over the arena, into the concession stands and everything else. So I thought it was a cool match. The Bucks were victorious in that one. We saw Diamante was victorious against Ivelisse in just a great women's match. I loved this match. I'm a big fan of both of these women, and I think it's awesome that they're both getting a shot on AEW's main show on Dynamite. So hopefully, these are going to be two that are part of that women's tag team tournament. And honestly, their characters are similar enough that I think that they would make a great tag team, but they also make great opponents. So either way, I hope they are part of that tournament. And then we saw Jericho and Jake Hager pick up a victory over the Jurassic Express, and this is where we saw the return of Sammy Guevara at the end of the match. Came in wearing a mask disguised as Serpentico, helped the Inner Circle beat down Jurassic Express, and then pulled the mask off and revealed himself to be Sammy Guevara. So, Sammy Guevara back with the Inner Circle. And we found out coming up next week, or this week, however you want to look at it, on AEW Dynamite, Cody will be defending the TNT title against Warhorse. Warhorse, of course, been campaigning for this title shot on social media for weeks, and he is getting his shot, and I think this is awesome. If you are not familiar with Warhorse, look him up. Look up some of his matches. He's entertaining as hell. And he definitely deserves this shot on a national stage like this. So I cannot wait to see Cody take on Warhorse this coming week for the TNT Championship. We've also got a tag team title match coming up this week. The Dark Order will be challenging Kenny Omega and Hangman Page for the AEW tag team titles. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised Omega and Page are still tag team champions. With all of the with all the great tag teams in AEW. I mean, AEW's got the best tag team division in wrestling right now. The Dark Order getting their opportunity this coming week. Moving on to some Impact news, we've got new Impact Tag Team Champions. The Motor City Machine Guns defeated the North. The North have held those titles for over a year, longest reigning Impact Tag Team Champions ever. And, they were dethroned by the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. Then we saw Moose with another defense of his TNA World Heavyweight Championship, and after the match, he was attacked by EC3. So EC3 officially making his Impact return, actually in the arena. So that was pretty cool. And we found out that Brian Myers, formerly known as Kurt Hawkins in WWE, is going to be debuting on Impact pretty soon. So another good pickup by Impact. And Eddie Edwards announced that he is going to defend the Impact World title every week. Kind of going the open challenge route with the world title. So that's pretty interesting there. And his first opponent for that open challenge next week is going to be Trey Miguel, one of the participants in that five-way match where Edwards won the championship. So that should be a great match between those two guys. Also coming up next week, we're going to see the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson, taking on Reno Scum, and this stems from a brawl that broke out in the parking lot. Now, the Good Brothers obviously have had some issues the last couple of weeks since their return, or since their debut on Impact, with Ace Austin and Madman Fulton, and of course Reno Scum is some more of Ace Austin's minions, so to speak. So a little bit of a brawl broke out in the parking lot, and this leads to a match coming up next week. Also saw an interesting segment for something that's going to be coming up next week called Wrestler House, and it looks kind of like a real world type deal with all these wrestlers in a house together, and it was it's like Taya and Rosemary and Johnny Bravo and Crazy Steve and Kylie Ray and Susie, and it should be interesting. Kind of like obviously it seems like a take on the WWE Legends House idea, which itself was a take on the whole the TV show Big Brother or Real World, or all those other reality shows where they put a bunch of people in a house and just see how they can live together. So should be interesting. Little bit of MLW news this week. They announced that the World Heavyweight Champion Jacob Fatu has signed a long-term contract extension. So that's awesome. Jacob Fatu, probably one of my favorite guys in MLW, part of the Contra Unit stable. So it looks like he's going to be with MLW for the foreseeable future. So that's going to do it for news and rumors for this week. Right now, I'm going to throw it over to Charlie G, and he is here with your Indie Cut.
Thank you, Tom, and hey to wrestling friends. I am Charlie G with your Indie Cut. There was a lot of wrestling action this week, so let's begin with Pro South Wrestling Summer Spectacular from July 17th with an attendance of 65 on YouTube from Piedmont, Alabama. For the PSW New Era Open title match, Ricky Cagle defeated champion William Huckabee to become new champion. And the PSW All Out title match, champion Damian Seratone defeated Trevor Aon. Joe Black defeated Brian Pillman Jr. So looked like Pillman did a little Alabama show. And then the PSW heavyweight title match, champion Eric Silva defeated Alex Kane. Then we go to July 18th, and SCW Pro Hulkamania 15. There goes the Masked Man from Iowa City, Iowa, in a parking lot. So they kept socially distant there. In the SCW Pro Iowa Wrestling title match, champion Dante Leon defeated Jason Paul. In the SCW Pro QC Cup title match, champion JT Energy defeated Corn Boy. Then Travis Titan defeated Warrior Wrestling's own Benjamin Carter. And then in the SCW Pro Heavyweight title street fight, champion, the one called Manders, defeated Solomon Tupa. Tupu. Yeah, there you go. Then we finally go over to Japan on July 19th for the 0-1. We're not going to lose to Corona Tenkaichi Junior Tournament Day 2 with an attendance of 138. And the second round match was Al Lindemann defeating Genseki Tanaka. And another match was Soki Kitamura defeating Hyde Kubata. And in a six-man tag match, it was Masato Tanaka, Takuya Sugawa, and Yuji Hino defeating Hartley Jackson, Sanjiro Otani, and Takuma Baba. Also on the Sunday, it was The Wave, Nagata, Toki 3 Countdown, Long Beach 28 Days with a attendance of 123. Meiko Satomura defeated Hiroi. Pure J had in a show with attendance of 30. Noah Stay Together Forever Day 2 with an attendance of 487. In the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team title match, champions Hayata and Yoshinari Ogawa defeated Daisuke Hirata and Todasuki. In the GHC Junior Heavyweight title match, champion Kotaro Suzuki defeated Yohei. Sorry, Yohei. Then we move to Michinoku Pro One Step Up with an attendance of 100. Jinsei Shinzaki defeated Nagoya Boy Rado and the Great Sasuke. So that was pretty cool to see him wrestle. And then in the six-man tag was Dick Togo. Guess he appears in New Japan and he gets to wrestle in all of these other places. So Dick Togo teamed with Ryo Higaji and Yosutaka Oshiro, defeating Yuma Ganji, Masashi, and Toro Nahashi. Go down to Ice Ribbon, New Ice Ribbon 1053, and Skip City with a attendance of 150. For the WW World Underground Women's Title match, Cherry defeated champion Tekla to become new champion. Dragon Gate, Hopeful Gate, Day 7, attendance of 362. In a six-man match, it was Kai, Strong Machine J, and Yamada defeating Dragon Kid, Ryo Saito, and Ultimate Dragon. Then Basra had a couple of shows with an attendance of 135. In the day show, they had a Heaven 7 Itadaki first round matches, and in the evening show, they had a second round matches. No one of importance to identify there. And then finally on that day was 2AW Shy Battle 66 with an attendance of 94. Go to July 21st, and my favorite of Tokiyoshi Pro, Summer Day 2, attendance of 145. In the main event is Mayu Yamashita teaming with Yuka Sakazaki, defeating Raku and Yuki Onoi. It was a good show, I must say. Don't need to go into details about this one too much, but nice to see them in action. Also on that day was 2A Big Advance with an attendance of 72. July 22nd, Ice Ribbon's Peace Party number 49. In DDT Dramatic Dream Surumu Volume 3 with a attendance of 92. Chris Brooks and Hideki Okatani defeated Mizuki Watsi and Yuko Naya. We move up to Yasuka Pro Beast Best of Yasuka Tournament with a attendance of 123. I say this because Osami Kodeka, Shige Takubani, and Udamaro defeated Kozo Matsuda, Takoyo Kito, and Tajiri. So Tajiri still wrestling over there. Nice to see. Go to July 23rd, Wave Summer Festival with an attendance of 115. We skip to Tokiyoshi Pro, Brand New Wrestling 4, Take But Not Give. It was actually on the Fight app in Japanese and English with an attendance of 490. But the English commentary, okay for the first show. It was a little rough. I believe it was Sonny Ono, of all people, for the Japanese brand, and they had an English announcer helping them out. Interesting. I'll put it like that. In the main event, it was for the Princess Tag Team title match. Mayu Watanabe and Rika Tatsumi, who are champions, went against Hyper Michio and Soka Nakajima. Mio hit a top rope rear view on Hyper for the win. Hyper earned Soko to play a little dirty, taping Rika's legs around the ring post, and then used a bag of toys to slam them on, only for Rika to slam Shoka on them instead. It was a really good match and fun. I liked it. And then for the Princess title match, champion Yuka Sakazaki versus Yuki Ano. Yuki won with a springboard 450 twisting splash. Amazing move. It was a nice match, but a bit of hard bumps on the floor. Midway through, it kind of got slow. When Yuka tried to do a Hurricanrana from the ring apron, only to be slammed hard on the floor. And she made reference to this at her end comments. She said, "I can only remember the last 2 minutes of the match because that shitty pro wrestler tried to kill me outside the ring. Onoi went into business for herself, so I'm sending her back to the undercard." Good for you, Yuka. It was interesting. At the end, there was this is where I say happy, but wait, Mizuki's here. She asked her to come up and help. They embrace. She said, "Let's go eat hamburgers, steak." So I guess I'm doing it after all. Eat hamburgers, steak, and happy. That's Yuka for you. They also announced the Tokyo Princess Cup will run with 21 entrants early in August. So hope to see some of those matches. And we move to my other favorite of Stardom, Cinderella Summer in Osaka with an attendance of 276. They had an Art of Stardom title match, which is their 6 women's tag titles. And it was the team of Donna Del Mundo, of Julia, Maka, and Suri, defeating Odate of Natsuko Tora, Natsu Sumira, and Saki Kashima. Pretty cool match, hard hitting. A nice outcome, of course, because Julia and them won. But nice to see them back in action still once again. We move down to DDT Summer Vacation 2020 with an attendance of 435. In their DDT Extreme Title Special Rules match, champion Sina Oki defeated Maku Donarudo. Then Chris Brooks teamed with Drew Parker to defeat Daisuke Sasaki and Nobuhiro Shiamati. So, hey Drew, you finally won a match. Good job. Then in the KO'd 6-man tag title match, champions Kasusada Higuchi, Saki Aki, and Yukiro Sakaguchi defeated Antonio Honda, Hiroshima, and Riho. So Riho appeared on DDT. Who knew? Then in All Japan Summer Action Series Day 2 with an attendance of 406. In the EWA Intercontinental title match, champion Tajiri defeated Akira Francesco. For the GAORA TV title match, champion Yoshitatsu defeated Yosuke Okada. Then they had a tag match of Jiro Kuroshio, Kento Miyahara, and Rising Hayata defeating Hokuto Amurai, Kuma Arashi, and Sotaro Oshino. Then there was a 2A tie battle 67 with attendance of 70. Bar 445 Bay Arena opening first anniversary show with attendance of 320. They had an 8-man tag match for the main event with Hiro Matsumoto, Koji Doi, Minoru Fujita, and Mr. Gonseki defeating Hiroyoshi Kamatani, Taka Michinoku, Takashi Sasaki, and Takasha Fujimoto. July 24th, 01 Junior Tournament Day 3, Aja Kong defeated Sei. There was a tag match of Chris Weiss and Yoshikaji Yokoyama defeating Masato Tanaka and Yuji Hino. In a second round match, it was Raicho defeating Tsuji. Wave had a show of attendance of 172. Stardom was back with their Cinderella Summer in Nagoya with an attendance of 339. Riho teamed with Tam Nakano to defeat Natsuko Toro and Natsuo Sumira by DQ. And then in an 8-lady tag match, the team of Dano Del Mundo and Queen's Quest went to a 30-minute draw. In the main event, it was the World Stardom title match with Mayu Iwatani, champion, defeating Jungle Kiona with her 2-stage Dragon Suplex. Very cool move, and this was an outstanding match. I'll tell you how you can see it if you want for free later on when I get to my ending. Also on the 24th, there was Pro Wrestling Magic Box with an attendance of 91. Noah put on a show, Congo Produce Diamond 2. Then Diana Wrestling teamed with Crisis Produce on YouTube. Their main match was Asuka defeating Yoko Sato to a time limit draw. Then back here in the States, last night I saw some of this. It was Indiana's Paradigm Pro Wrestling Heavy Hitters 2, where they compete under UWFI rules based on the shoot style rules of the former Japanese company Union of Wrestling Forces International. So it's pretty much all shoot wrestling. Very interesting matches, and here's the rundown. The UWF Fight Rules matches were Tom Lawler versus Calvin Tankman, Aaron Williams versus AJ Gray, Chris Dickinson versus Lee Moriarty, Dominic Greeny versus Gary J, Eric Stevens versus Reed Bentley, Mo Atlas versus Devantes, Justin Kyle versus Flash Thompson, and they had a PPW title match with Cole Radrick champion, losing to Freddie Hudson. So I'll give some of the results. Tom Lawler defeated Calvin Tankman. Nolan Edwards really knocked out Kevin Cool. It was pretty hard. Dominic Carini did the same to Gary J. Aaron Williams defeated AJ Gray. Chris Dickinson defeated Lee Moriarty. And Matthew Justice defeated Stephen Bonner. I didn't see all those endings because yesterday was pretty busy on the computers. A little hard to keep track. And their main event, it was for the PPW Heavy Hitters title tournament final elimination champion. Bobby Beverly defeated Aaron Williams, Brett Eisen, Chris Dickinson, Dominic Carini, Eric Stevens, Flash Thompson, Matthew Justice, Mo Atlas, Nolan Edwards, and Tom Lawler. That was pretty much just a battle royal type deal. So congrats to Bobby Beverly. OWE popped up with Strong Heart Section 2 Alpha back in Osaka, Japan. They say on Twitch TV. I did not see any reference to it on their Twitch channel, but check it out if you can. Tag match of Hiroki Taniguchi and Jun Aka defeated Sema and Taida Heat. In an 8-man match, it was El Lindemann, Ishii Anazuka, Singahiro Iri, and T-Hawk defeating Dick Togo, Issa 8, Ghana, and Hub. So, looks like OWE's back in Japan for the time being. Stardom had another show today on the July 25th. Explode in Summer Day 1 with an attendance of 264. This was actually taped earlier in the week. So they had the Future Earth Stardom 3-way title match which was vacant, and Maki defeated Saya Linda and Soya Kamatani to become new champion. And in their Wonder of Stardom title tournament first round matches, Julia defeated Konami, and Tam Nakano defeated Natsuko Toro. Little news from Stardom: the Goddesses of Stardom tag titles were vacated by Jamie Hayter and B. Priestley since they cannot defend them. So former champions Jungle Kiona and Konami will take on the number 1 contenders of Utami Hayashita and Saya Kamatani to declare new champions on their July 26th show at Corrigan Hall. Also earlier today, new Ice Ribbon 1054 Summer Jumbo Ribbon 2020 with an attendance of 418, and their WW World Underground Wrestling title match, champion Cherry defeated Bani Ikawa. And the Ice Infinity title contender elimination 5-way match, Suzy Suzuki defeated Homoko Hashi, Ibuki Hoshi, Maka Ozaki, and Sasuke Totoro. In the All Japan Summer Action Series Day 3, attendance 494. The All Asia Tag Team title number 1 contender 3-way tag match, Unzaga Anzugi and Zeus defeated Kai and Tajiri, and Shigo Takabani and Yoshi Tatsu. And their All Japan World Junior Heavyweight title match, Koji Iwamoto defeated champion Susumu Yokosuke to become the champion. And in the Triple Crown title match, champion Suwama defeated Tsuji Ishikawa. Lastly, since there was so much to watch this week, sorry there is no Lucha Underground recap this week, but there is a little AAA news. Good news, bad news. We'll start with the bad news, that Triple Mania will be postponed from the planned date of August 22nd. AAA is exploring possibilities to have the event later in 2020, but that all depends on the pandemic status in Mexico over the coming months. As for the good news, AAA will be experimenting with a unique concept to provide live lucha libre action once they get the green light from the health authorities with auto luchas. The idea is to have live wrestling matches in the parking lot of Six Flags in Mexico City. So that should be interesting. Fans would watch from inside the cars, similar to a drive-in movie. AAA plans to run various shows per day on the weekends. Matches will be singles bouts and occasionally a tag team with only national talent. So no Kenny Omega, Pentagon, and Rey Fenix. Who knows how that would work out since they're in AEW for right now. I would have to guess Tessa, since she is in Mexico. She could maybe appear for AAA. Who knows? No dates have been announced yet, but they could be done quickly as 2 weeks. And in a final bit of good news, AAA confirmed that there have been 0 positive coronavirus cases on their roster. So, good for AAA. And everyone's staying safe there. So that's a wrap for me. Until next time, when I will recap GCW's Homecoming Weekend, which starts actually now. Black Label Pro, and any other indie shows or news that come along the way. Don't forget to look up those Twitch streams, which I'm going to give a couple shout outs to right now, with WrestleCast Radio, live on Friday nights at 10 p.m. Central. And then Staz Varence, that is SDAZVARENCE, on Saturday and Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Central. For Fire Pro Wrestling, which I enjoy watching. I'm usually in the chat rooms and commentating on Sundays. Give or take a Sunday, but I'm around usually. Plus, look up DJ_ANSI for multiple shows during the week, and where you can check out a lot of the shows I recap. Found him a couple weeks ago, and he does a lot of DDT, Tokyo Pro, and he has started up Stardom. So if you want to see some of the matches I talked about today, go check him out. He's really good. Thank you for watching or listening. Hope you enjoyed the cut. Stay safe, take care, and be kind, everyone. Back to you, Tom.
All right, thank you, Charlie. And I just want to mention, I was talking about the Pro Wrestling Tees store and the Big Cartel store earlier. You can also find both on Pro Wrestling Tees and on the Big Cartel store Charlie's very first Indie Cut t-shirts. He's got one on Pro Wrestling Tees, one on the Big Cartel store. Two really cool designs that Charlie put together himself. So head on over there, check those out. It's the Indie Cut with Charlie G. Two really cool t-shirts. I like them a lot, so head over there, check them out, pick one up, support the show, support me, support Charlie, support independent wrestling, support independent wrestling podcasting. Just support. I mean, come on, guys, pick up a shirt. So moving right along, we're going to get into our next segment here, where I highlight somebody who is a positive influence on the internet wrestling scene, and I'm talking about the Fan of the Week. This week's Fan of the Week is a guy you might have heard me talk about on the show before. His name is Dennis Leining. He's the president of a company called Double Turn Games and the creator of a game called Smack Talk Showdown. And now, if you've been following the show for a while, you know we played this game on the show a while back. It was a lot of fun. It's the way I always describe it is kind of like Cards Against Humanity for wrestling fans. Where basically just cutting promos on your friends, given with the prompts that you're given on the cards from the game. It's a lot of fun, and Dennis, a wrestling fan, turned his love of wrestling into this awesome card game, and just head over to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Check out their social media. On Twitter, it's at Smack Talk Showdown. And Showdown is SHWDWN. So no vowels in that one on Twitter, but it's at Smack Talk Showdown. Also on Instagram and Facebook, it's at Smack Talk Showdown, the complete words. You can find the game at smacktalkshowdown.com and also smacktalkshowdown.bigcartel.com. So, yeah, fan of the week, Dennis Lining, very cool guy. I've had the pleasure of meeting him a few times at different events and things like that, and he's just, like I said, he turned his love of wrestling into this awesome party game. If you haven't, if you're not familiar with it, go back in the show archives, check it out. Check out me and Charlie and two of our other friends playing this game and making fools of ourselves. It was a lot of fun. And like I said, check out their social media, check out their websites, pick up the game. If you're a wrestling fan, or if you just like talking crap to your friends, pick this game up. It's a lot of fun, and you're gonna love it. And Dennis, like I said, just an awesome guy, great wrestling fan. And like I said, turn his love of wrestling into something that is just pure fun, honestly, for everybody. I mean, if you cannot have fun playing this game, there's something wrong with you. So, and this is not a paid advertisement for Smack Talk Showdown, but I will continue to sing the praises of this game and of Dennis, because it's a great idea. It's a lot of fun, and it's just, what else can I say? So the fan of the week this week, Dennis Lining from Double Turn Games, creator of Smack Talk Showdown. So let's get into the next segment of the show. I had the pleasure of having a conversation with the Warrior Wrestling CEO Steve Tortorello a couple of days ago, talking about their big upcoming event called Friday Night Lights. It's their first outdoor show, taking place, as always, at Marion Catholic High School, but this time it is in the football stadium. And yeah, a lot of great matches lined up for this one. Catch Hook and Shoot is sponsoring the women's match on this card between Kylie Ray and Ray Lynn, and that match is for the number one contendership for the Warrior Wrestling Women's Championship. So it's an awesome card. We go through the whole card, all the matches that have been announced so far, and one that hasn't been announced yet, which Steve is debuting in this interview, and it just sounds insane, so I can't wait to see it. But right now I'm going to throw it over to that interview. Here is me and Warrior Wrestling CEO Steve Tortorello. What's going on, everybody? This is Tom with Catch, Hook, and Shoot, and I am talking right now live with the promoter for Warrior Wrestling here in Chicago, Mr. Steve Tortorello. How you doing today, Steve?
I am great, my friend. How are you?
I am doing awesome. Still just kind of hanging out here at home during the whole pandemic lockdown quarantine thing.
It's a crazy world, man. Could you have imagined? I was sitting with my dad yesterday and we were watching TV and a whole bunch of different stuff was on a news clip. And I just turned to my dad and I said, 6 months ago, if I would have shown you that 5 minutes, you would have said I was crazy. But what a year, right?
Yeah, it's been nuts. So we're here to talk about Warrior Wrestling Friday Night Lights, your first ever outdoor wrestling event. How did this come about? I mean, obviously it's kind of out of necessity, but is this something that was also kind of being kicked around before all this insanity started?
In fact, it was. So one of my best friends in the world and my right-hand man in Warrior Wrestling, Eric Hamilton, who works backstage at all of our shows and helps put everything together. Eric had this idea about a year and a half ago. He said, would have been spring of 19. He's like, let's do an outdoor show in the football stadium over the summer. It can be Friday Night Lights. It can be like a picnic. It can be a different kind of thing. And it just didn't come together for one reason or another last year. Well, then the pandemic hit and everyone thought like, all right, we're going to get through March, April, May, and then life will be back to normal. And it was very clear that life was never going to be back to normal, at least until we find a new normal. And a couple months ago, Eric was like, hey, you remember the Friday Night Lights idea? Because the governor's guidance on outdoor seated events came out. And we went, wait a second, this fits perfectly. And so we dusted off that idea from about a year and a half ago. And here we are in the middle of a pandemic with a wrestling show.
It's awesome. And I mean, it's looks like it's shaping up to be a great show. You guys have announced 6 matches so far. And so I'm just going to start off with the first one right here. Isaias Velasquez and Trey Lamar. Now, I'm not familiar with either one of these guys myself, but I kind of have this rule. If they're wrestling at Warrior, they're good.
Well, first of all, I appreciate that. But yeah, they're both great. So Isaias is a local guy. He's really cut his teeth in freelance wrestling. He has been the ace of freelance for many, many years, really probably since its early days. And he and Mustafa Ali are probably the two guys that were the workhorses of freelance. And Trey Lamar comes to us from AIW in Cleveland, or Game Changer Wrestling as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he is just, I'm trying to think of what I'd compare it to. Similar to an Ace Austin in the way
Okay.
he moves, the way he wrestles, but he's just super talented, super charismatic. And the two of them are both guys that need a lot more eyeballs on them. And when we were laying out this show, we wanted a match to showcase some incredible talent that people might not know yet. And this is that match. So we are really excited. We know that the two of them are coming to tear the house down because they know that Cage and Cobb and the other matches we're going to talk about are on this card, and they are coming to steal the show. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not familiar with them, but there's been, more than one occasion at a Warrior show, there's been guys I've never seen before, and I've been thoroughly impressed with them. So I'm just kind of assuming that this is going to be the exact same scenario with these two guys.
That's what we're hoping, and I know that is what they are planning.
And you got an insane 6-man tag team match on this show. With the Rascals taking on Alex Zane, Blake Christian, and Benjamin Carter. I mean, are you trying to kill me with trying to call these matches?
Yeah, God, I didn't even think about the poor play-by-play guys. You and Rich Bocchini have the toughest jobs on the 7th.
Yeah.
This is another product of, first of all, we think the absolute world of the Rascals. It is great that Impact is really starting to push them the way they deserve, and I think it's long overdue. But they're just incredible. They've torn down the house with Brian Cage, against Chaos, Ospreay, Romero, and Red, against the Strong Hearts, including Shima. These guys are walking state-of-the-art wrestling. That's who they are. I mean, they're the perfect combination of American indie style, lucha style, Dragon Gate, New Japan speed, everything that's great about the X Division and Impact. They're everything. And then you put them against, and so every time we have the Rascals, we're trying to think, well, how do we top the last time we had the Rascals?
Right.
What can we have them do that's even crazier? And now we have them against these three guys, each of whom are pushing the envelope for the next generation. Alex Zane, who we've had before against Lance Archer. Blake Christian, who was on our show at Bourbon Street before Impact's Slammiversary, or Impact's Bound for Glory, in October. And Benjamin Carter. Benjamin Carter, a Brit, trained in Iowa here in the States. These three guys are, I don't have words for them. They're innovative. They're lightning quick. They are like the next slight generation, but it's not even been a generation, of the Rascals. And this is this mirror image of 6 guys are going to go 3-on-3. And every one of those 6 guys is seeking to be the most innovative, the most state-of-the-art, the most cutting-edge wrestler in the world. And so you take all 6 of them, you throw them in a ring together. It's too big to hold in a gym. We've got to do it in a football stadium. And, this could be the main event. Like, that's how great the wrestling is going to be. How can anything else follow this? These guys are going to tear the house down.
Yeah, and I just looking at this particular match, it makes me think about that AEW, what do they call it, the Stadium Stampede or something like that?
Stampede,
and
yeah.
Matt Jackson just suplexing Sammy Guevara 100 yards across the field. I for some reason I can see that happening.
Yeah, right?
And then moving on from there, you mentioned Lance Archer. He's going to be taking on Sam Adonis. I mean, talk about a hoss fight with these two guys.
2 big dudes, 2 bad dudes, and they collided in the War of Attrition at Warrior 8, but nothing was ever settled. Neither one of them took the pin that round. Archer got eliminated when someone else in his team was pinned, but Archer and Adonis had this face-to-face moment, and Adonis has been working his way to becoming the most complete wrestler over the course of the 2 years that we've worked with him. When we started working with him, he was working primarily in Mexico, CMLL, as a Rudo, a Lucha Libre bad guy. Since that time, he's done multiple tours of Japan with All Japan and learned the All Japan strong style. He's gotten in the greatest shape of his life. So he can do American indies, he can do lucha, he can do Japanese style. And again, Sam's a big dude. Sam's well over 6 feet. He's built, he's jacked, and everybody knows that Archer is a giant. So you take these 2 incredibly talented behemoths and you put them face to face, and they've each got something to prove. Sam Adonis, I think, is the most underrated or underappreciated wrestler in American indie wrestling. This guy should be on AEW. He should be getting sniffs for NXT. Impact should have signed him a year ago. This guy's phenomenal. And then you've got Archer, who's on AEW, but we haven't seen him all summer. He had a big run-up all spring. He lost to Cody. Where's he been? This is a guy who can wrestle a hell of a match. So I think both of them have something to prove, and we're going to give them a whole football stadium worth of room to prove it.
Yeah, and like you were saying about Adonis, every time I see him wrestle, it's like, why is this guy not signed somewhere? Because he's phenomenal.
Yeah, and see, we've also only really seen, and pulling back the curtain a little bit here, we've only seen the heel side of Sam Adonis, right? He's got a great promo, he's got a great mouth, he's a great heel. This dude can also be a phenomenal heavyweight babyface wrestler. This guy he can do everything. So we're going to keep giving him a platform and letting him hit it out of the park.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking forward to, because again, at Warrior was where I was introduced to Sam Adonis. It was the first time I had ever seen him in the ring. I had heard of him. I knew he was Corey Graves' brother and that kind of thing, but I'd never actually seen him wrestle. And I mean, he impresses the hell out of me every time.
Yeah. And again, we've been so blessed to be able to put him in lots of different types of situations, right? So he wrestled Nick Aldis for the NWA title. He wrestled LA Park, La Parka. He wrestled Pat Monix in a hardcore match. He's wrestled in tag matches. He's wrestled a 20-minute draw with Elgin. He's done all of these different types of things and shown you, the Warrior fan, all of what he can do. This guy's the total package.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And then, as if that wasn't enough beef in the ring with those two guys, you've got Brian Cage taking on Jeff Cobb.
Yes. I am a huge Jeff Cobb fan. This guy's incredible.
Oh, so am I. Ever since the first time I saw Jeff Cobb was in Lucha Underground as Matanza Cueto. And then after that, I saw him like in Ring of Honor and stuff like that. So, and just putting him in there with Cage, I mean, just the size of these two guys alone is unbelievable.
Yeah. And not only their size, their speed, their agility, their strength. These guys are kind of mirror images of each other. And it's funny, last time we only had Cobb one other time. It was Warrior 2. This was the original War of Attrition. They are in opposite teams to start. There's a moment where each of them tag in and they come face to face in the center of the ring. And it gets a standing ovation from the whole gym before they even touch. And then they have this great exchange. And then Cobb has not been back since. So we planted that. We didn't know then that Warrior Friday Night Lights was coming, but we planted that seed at Warrior 2, and now we get to pay it off at Friday Night Lights, and we're so excited.
Yeah, and of course, Brian Cage, the former Warrior Wrestling champion, and
never defeated.
Yeah, he had to give that up due to injury. So this is his first match back since Warrior 7, right?
Yep, he was there at 8, but he couldn't compete, so he just handed over the title. And since then, and actually the injury that he had at 8 was the same injury that they've talked about the last couple of weeks on AEW. He legitimately tore his bicep, and that's what Jon Moxley almost ripped apart again a week ago. So that was the injury that kept him from defending his Warrior title.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny. We saw a match on AEW Dark last week between Cage and the current Warrior champion Brian Pillman Jr. I thought that was kind of cool to see those two go at it on TV.
Yeah, it was really, really cool.
On YouTube,
both generations of Warrior. Yeah, what is TV now? If it's a screen, it counts.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, both generations of Warrior champions going face to face. And Pillman had texted me after that match was taped, saying like, "You're gonna like next week's match." And I had an inkling of what it was going to be, and I was really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, it was a great match. I mean, Cage and Pillman are two of my favorites currently on any roster. I love them both. I've actually had the chance to like have conversations with both of them. They're both awesome guys, so it was really cool to see them hook it up in the ring. Hopefully we'll get to see that in Warrior at some point for the title.
Yeah, well, Cage said he wants the belt back. Let's see if he can put Jeff Cobb away first.
Right. And so moving from there, we were talking about the Warrior Championship. Pillman is going to be defending the Warrior Championship against what seems to be his arch nemesis at Warrior, the Ego, Robert Anthony, and, of course, Frank the Clown.
Yes, they have a long history. So they collided at Warrior 3, 4, and 5. At 3, it was in this free-for-all multi-man Royal Rumble type match where they were the first two guys in and the last two guys standing, and Frank cheated to help Ego win. So then they had a singles match at 4, and Frank cheated to help Ego win. So then at 5, we did the hair versus clown match, where if Pillman lost, they were shaving off the mullet. And if Pillman won, he got 5 minutes with the clown. And of course, Pillman won that one, handcuffed Ego to the ropes, and took out Frank the Clown. But since then, it's been an interesting road for both of them. Pillman won finally at 5, but then he lost at Warrior 6. And then he lost at Warrior 7. And then he lost at Warrior 8 before getting inserted into the title match and winning the title at the end of Warrior 8. Since then, Ego has won every match he's had at Warrior Wrestling. So they went different directions. Pillman losing and then becoming champ, Ego winning, and actually at Warrior 8, he won the right to be in the title match, but Frank took his place and Pillman eliminated Frank. So this story between the two of them has been building for a year and a half. And now that Pillman is the champion, the first guy trying to take it is Robert Ego Anthony. So it's been a year and a half in the making, and now it's coming to Warrior Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, and hopefully Pillman can do something to neutralize Frank, because he seems to be a thorn in everybody's side, honestly, but especially Pillman's.
Absolutely. And so that's the wild card, right? Pillman has overcome all these odds. Can he overcome Frank the Clown on the outside?
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll have to see about that one. But these two guys, again, like you said, they've had 3 matches previously, and every one of them was fantastic. So I expect this one to be no different, except this time it's a little bit higher stakes for that Warrior Wrestling title.
Absolutely. And so if the Clown gets involved, are we seeing a new champ?
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to see Frank the Clown that close to a title.
Right?
Talking about the title, I'm still waiting for you guys to put out a replica belt, because that Warrior belt is awesome, and I want one for my collection back here.
You know what? I've got to talk to some of the belt companies. Somewhere, and some of our friends online alerted me to this a couple months ago, or maybe 2 months ago. Some company in like Turkey made a knockoff of our belt and was selling it on eBay for like $300. And it's like 80% our belt. It's slightly different in certain areas, but they're selling a variety of wrestling belts, including ours. So I feel kind of honored that somebody in the Middle East is knocking off our wrestling belts.
Yeah,
but I've got to talk to some belt companies here and see if we can get a reasonably priced replica, because the actual belts are very expensive.
Oh, yeah.
I'll see what I can do about maybe getting a replica one day.
Yeah, because the Warrior belt, it's very, very unique. I can't recall ever seeing anything even remotely similar to it. So that's why it has really caught my eye, being a belt guy.
Well, and you know what? So truth be told, that's what we were going for when we designed it. I have seen, honest to God, 50 indie wrestling belts, and you could line them all up. And I'm a wrestling nut, especially an indie wrestling nut. I couldn't tell you whose belt is whose. No offense, but they all pretty much look the same. And so we said, hey, we've got a pretty cool logo. Let's make a unique belt so that when people see it on someone, people go, hey, wait a second, what belt is that? Yeah. That's what we wanted.
Yeah, well, you definitely did a great job with that one. So the last match that's been announced so far, and I saved this one for last intentionally because I have a bit of a vested interest in this one. It's Kylie Rae versus Ray Lynn for the #1 contender for the Warrior Women's Championship.
Yes, and thank you for being our official sponsor of that match. We really appreciate it.
I'm honored for the opportunity.
Oh my gosh. We were talking before we went on air here that Kylie Rae is legitimately and sincerely one of the nicest human beings you'll ever meet. And it's not a gimmick. It's the real human, sincerely. And you can't help but root for her in everything that she does. And it's interesting because Ray Lynn is also a wonderful person as well. So there's no dastardly heel here. There's 2 wonderful human beings. One of them's got to win and one of them's got to lose. I will tell you, it will be a very sportsmanship-based contest between the 2 of them, because neither can ever consider doing anything malicious.
Yeah, that makes it very, very interesting when you've got 2 just really over the top white meat baby faces, as the term goes, in there going after each other, because you're just going to see a good wrestling match.
Yep.
And of course, like I said, the winner of this one gets a shot, I'm assuming, at the next Warrior show at the Warrior Women's title.
That is correct. And Eric has announced that on Instagram, I believe, that this is officially a
Mhm.
#1 contenders match. So both Kylie and Raylyn were part of the women's War of Attrition at Warrior 8. And
Mhm.
one of them is going to get a shot at Tessa when Tessa returns. Tessa is currently in Mexico. And obviously, given the situation in the pandemic, being a part of Friday Night Lights was not a possibility. So she will be watching from afar to see who's coming after her throne.
Yeah, and that should be an awesome match with these two, like I said. And I just have to reiterate what you said. Kylie Ray, I got to meet her at the last Warrior show, the nicest person I've ever met in my life. And Raylyn, I haven't had the opportunity to meet her. Maybe I will at this one. But yeah, I mean, I am so thrilled and just proud to be able to sponsor this match. I mean, when you sent me told me about the opportunity and sent me the list of matches, I saw Kylie's name. I'm like, that's it. I got to have that one.
Yes, absolutely. I can't say enough good things about her as a human. There are people you just root for. And, as a promoter, we want everybody to do well. We want everyone to perform well, be safe, etc. But just in life, I hope that she gets everything that she wants and is happy as a clam because she deserves it.
Oh, absolutely. So that's all the matches that have been announced so far. But I've been hearing some stuff about something kind
Uh-oh.
of crazy gonna happen. Can you talk about that, or what am I hearing?
I can tell you officially now, and it will debut with this podcast, that we will be hosting what we're calling the Spartan Stadium Stampede Scramble match. And it will be everything ridiculous under the sun. Dan the Dad will be in the match. Marvelous Matt Nix, Beast Man, the Corn Belt Cowboy, the one called Manders, Elena Black, Davey Bang, the Nacho Clown, Cypher, Gobaldi, the War Horse will be around.
Oh, wow.
It's just going to be absolute insanity. And it's going to be one of those things that you just can't look away from. So that has not been announced to the public yet, but we're sharing it here. It's coming, and it's going to be ridiculous.
And I'm assuming we're gonna find out in the coming days exactly how this match is gonna work.
Yes, I think. I don't know. There's a whole lot. There are discussions about rules for this Stampede, this Spartan Stadium Stampede Scramble match.
With
And
some of the guys you just named, I don't even know if there's a point in having rules.
yeah, I imagine whatever we lay out is going to get violated very quickly anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit fearful for, the goalposts, the scoreboard, the stadium in general, but we're going to give them the time and someone is going to come out victorious. So God help us all.
Well, definitely sounds like fun. I love that you're having Warhorse there again. He's another one I got to talk to at the last Warrior show where I can't remember if it was 7 or 8 that Warhorse was on.
He was on 8. Yep.
8. Okay. And yeah, we just found out today that he's going to be challenging for the TNT title on this coming Wednesday. So that's awesome. I know he's been campaigning for that for weeks.
Yeah, and you know what? It's come to fruition. And again, nobody more deserving. He has reinvented himself over the last year and a half into that Warhorse character.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake Parnell, the man behind the character, is a phenomenal athlete, a phenomenal wrestler, and good things come to good people.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm very curious about this match we were just talking about. So I can't wait to see that one. I get the distinct feeling this is going to be another one that's a little hard to keep up with on commentary.
Oh my God, I don't even know how you're going to track where all the people are in the stadium.
You know what? I'm bringing my portable setup. I may just have to literally follow them around. I'll be completely wireless, so I should be able to if I have to.
Good luck, man.
But yeah, so that pretty much wraps up the card. Why don't you let everybody know, the when, where, how they can get tickets and all that kind of stuff.
You got it. But before that, there is one more talent whose match has not been announced yet. We can tell you that Jake Something will make his Warrior Wrestling debut. You may know Jake from Impact, where he is Cousin Jake with Cody Deaner and the Deaner brothers. Or here in Chicago, he's been a big star on AAW. Mm-hmm. He is a super heavyweight son of a gun. This guy is similar to Wardlow, whom we've had in the past. Maybe not as big physically as Wardlow, but it's the style that he wrestles is incredible.
Yeah.
And we have not announced his opponent yet. We're still waiting on a few clearances to do so. But let me tell you, it's going to be pretty darn cool. So Jake Something is coming to Friday Night Lights as well.
Oh,
and as you just said,
awesome.
Tickets are available at warriorwrestling.net. That's our website, as well as archives and how to watch all the past shows, videos, etc. It's all up there on warriorwrestling.net. You can follow us digitally at social media at Warrior Wrestling, no vowels in wrestling, so WRSTLNG, and that's Twitter, Instagram. We've got a Facebook group as well. Follow us, check us out, get tickets to see the show. Also on the website are all of the safety precautions because, as we said, we are in the midst of a pandemic. So we are doing a no contact, no crowding show, and all of our rules for that are up on the website explaining how that's going to work so you know you can come to the show safely. You can go from your car to your sitting space back to your car without ever coming within 10 feet of another person or having to touch anything other than whatever food, snacks, or drinks you brought. So it is going to be BYO, contactless environment, outdoors, under the sun, socially distanced, and under the stars, socially distanced. So if you're at all worried about coming to a live event, go check out all the safety precautions on our website.
Yeah, and that's something that's important to pretty much everybody right now. And I was checking those out, and it sounds like you guys have a pretty good handle on, how to take care of all that, especially with the BYO thing, no concessions or anything like that. So it definitely sounds like it's going to be a good time. It's actually going to be my first time out of the house since March. So
oh my gosh, right? Well, and that's part of why we did it is everybody's got cabin fever.
Yeah.
And when we can do this outside, let's do it. Like let's do it safely, but let's do it. It's time for wrestling again.
Mm-hmm. And I know you also said before you're still kind of working out the logistics of the pay-per-view thing. So as far as like the live broadcast, but it's either way, even if it's not broadcast live, it'll still be on High Spots afterwards, right?
That's correct. It'll definitely be on demand on highspots, wrestlingnetwork.com. It may be live on Fight TV. Just depends on the logistics of doing it. As you can imagine, if you're listening at home or watching at home, when we're inside in the gym, we have a variety of uplinks and cables and things to do a high-speed internet broadcast. Out in the football stadium, it's a little bit different. So we're looking at wireless and potentially running cables, et cetera. So hopefully we'll know soon whether or not we can have it for you live on pay-per-view.
Yeah, and it if all goes according to plan, it should be live on the Podbean app at the very least. I'll be broadcasting that. At least myself, I should have my buddy Charlie G with me, but I'm can't say 100% for sure yet if he's going to be able to make it. He's supposed to let me know, but yeah, so there should at the very least be a live audio broadcast going on.
Absolutely great. Yeah. So if you're traveling, if you're driving, if you're at home, if you can't do the video, whatever, or you want to listen to it first and watch it later, check it out on Podbean.
Yeah, and it's again, Warrior Wrestling, as far as I'm concerned, has never disappointed. It's always a great show. It's a great family-friendly environment. It's a great place to bring, the kids. I see tons of little kids there when, anytime I've been there. One thing we didn't talk about was the Fan Fest. There is a Fan Fest attached to this one as well, right?
There is. Yep. We're going to do a socially distanced Fan Fest, and we're actually kicking around the idea of doing a virtual Fan Fest as well. So maybe having a Facebook Live feed during Fan Fest. So if fans can't attend, they can talk to some of the wrestlers that they love live and maybe buy an autograph from afar. But there will be a socially distanced Fan Fest, and all the rules for that are up on the page, so you can come and know you'll be safe, but still get to talk to and get autographs from all the wrestlers: Cage, Archer, Cobb, Pillman, you name it.
That's fantastic. I mean, like I said, Warrior Wrestling is always a great time. It's a great, again, family-friendly environment. Come out, bring the kids, sit under the sun, under the stars, watch some awesome wrestling. I mean, you guys get some of the best talent from around the world, pretty much. So I can't pump up Warrior Wrestling enough because it is just an awesome promotion and it's always a great time.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being part of it. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the flesh on the 7th and seeing everybody in the flesh, not via Zoom. And again, if you're sitting at home and you feel safe to do so, come on out and see us. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, as it always is. But for right now, I'm gonna let you go. I know you're busy with school starting back up and everything, and I'm actually still working at home myself. So, But yeah, on Friday, August 7th, Warrior Wrestling, Friday Night Lights, going to be an awesome time. Come out, watch, listen. Either way, find a way to see this show, because it's one that you're not going to want to miss.
Yes, sir.
All right, Steve. Well, I always appreciate you coming on. I appreciate, again, all of the opportunities that Warrior has afforded me and the podcast as far as sponsoring the match this time around and broadcasting live. I mean, you guys have been just awesome as far as that goes.
Tom, we love having you. We'll see you in 2 weeks, my friend.
All right. Thanks a lot, Steve.
See ya.
So that was my interview with Warrior Wrestling CEO Steve Tortorello. Head to warriorwrestling.net. Grab yourself tickets for this. If you're going to be in the Chicago area the weekend of August 7th, this is a show you're not going to want to miss. It just sounds amazing. That scramble match that Steve was talking about sounds like it's just going to be pure ridiculousness, and I cannot wait to see it with some of the names that are going to be in there. It's going to be tough to follow, but I'm going to do my best. Of course, as always, I will be doing live play-by-play for Warrior Wrestling on the Podbean app. Now I'm gonna a little bit different and present some different challenges with this being an outdoor show, but I'm going to test out my my live feed this coming Wednesday on the Podbean app. It's just going to be a test stream. It's going to be very brief, just to see how it works with using the Wi-Fi with a mobile hotspot. Is basically what I'm going to be trying out, because that would be the setup I'd have to use on the football field for this show. So this coming Wednesday, for the what I assume is going to be the opening match for AEW Dynamite, Warhorse versus Cody. The TNT title is typically the first match on the show, so I am going to just do a brief watch along just for that one match, live on the Podbean app. So any of you guys want to help me out, check it out just to see, make sure that the feed is working, that using it with the mobile hotspot is something that's going to work for broadcasting this Warrior event. In the event that the live feed does not work for whatever reason, I will still be recording the live audio play-by-play, and we'll be posting it as a bonus episode of the podcast. So I'm thinking it should be fine to do the live broadcast, but if for any reason it does not work, then I will still be posting the recordings of the live play-by-play as bonus episodes of the show. So join me this Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time, when AEW Dynamite starts. Just be a brief watch along on the Podbean app for the first match of Dynamite. I'll be posting scheduling that live stream a little bit later on today. So just download the Podbean app if you don't have it already, and join me for that test stream, so I can test out how everything's going to work, and definitely plan on joining me August the 7th live for Warrior Wrestling Friday Night Lights. It's going to be a great event, as Warrior events always are. And thank you again to Steve for the interview, for the making the announcement on the show this week. That was awesome. And for the opportunity to sponsor one of the matches on this show. I just I cannot say enough good stuff about Warrior Wrestling and about Steve. So like I said, if you're going to be in Chicago, pick up some tickets. It's going to be a great time. WarriorWrestling.net for those tickets for the event and for the Fan Fest. And if you're not in the area, not able to get tickets and make it to the show, hopefully it'll be live on Fight TV. If not, it'll be on High Spots afterwards on demand. And like I said, you can find the live audio on the Podbean app and as a bonus episode of the show after the show is over. So there's no reason to miss this show. So check it out. So moving right along into our next segment here, it's where I get to play booker and promoter and that kind of stuff, and I'm talking about the fantasy booker. This week's fantasy booker is the Jacked Street Boys versus Warhausen. I know some of you guys are sitting out there saying, who the hell is that? Well, I'm going to explain. The Jacked Street Boys is a creation of Alexander Hammerstone from MLW. He's the MLW National Openweight Champion. And, he and Brian Cage, both body guys, obviously, if you've ever seen either one of them, kind of have a little banter back and forth online about their workouts and things like that. And Hammerstone posted on Twitter, could somebody please book me and Brian Cage as the Jack Street Boys? And I chimed in and said, hey, this sounds like a job for Warrior Wrestling, because I could see Warrior booking that team. And Hammerstone liked my comment and things like that. And then a little while later, I posted this particular match on Twitter, and I basically said something along the lines of, if I could propose the Jack Street Boys versus Warhausen, which Warhausen is Warhorse and Danhausen. Now, Warhorse, of course, I talked about already, going against Cody Rhodes this week for the TNT Championship. Danhausen is just, I don't think that words exist to describe Danhausen, but he's just cool. Check him out. If you don't know who he is, check him out. Just look up Danhausen, and he's just entertaining as all hell. And he and Warhorse, as a tandem, are known as Warhausen. And so I posed the question on social media. I said, can I propose the team of the Jack Street Boys versus Warhausen, and doesn't this just sound ridiculously fun? And Danhausen liked it, Warhorse liked it, Hammerstone actually retweeted it saying, well, that just sounds ridiculously fun. And I mean, it would be an awesome match between these two teams. The size disparity between the two teams is crazy, because Warhorse and Danhausen are not not saying they're not in good shape. They obviously are. They're both fantastic wrestlers in their own right, but size wise, Hammerstone and Cage are just enormous, jacked up freaks, and so there'd be a definite size and style disparity going on there, but it would be pure ridiculous fun. And honestly, that's what's needed sometimes in wrestling. And so I'm campaigning for this match at Warrior Wrestling at some point. Steve, get it put together. The Jack Street Boys versus Warhausen. I want to see it. I know other people want to see it. So yeah, let's make it happen. This is one that could legitimately happen. So I'm starting a campaign right now. The Jack Street Boys versus Warhausen at Warrior Wrestling 9 or Warrior Wrestling 10. I don't care. Just make it happen. All right. So let's move into the next segment of the show here, where I espouse a bit of an unpopular opinion, and I'm talking about the weekly hot take. So my hot take for this week comes from a little bit of a back and forth that I had with somebody on Facebook this past week. And, if you go back to the very first episode of the podcast, I talk about the different kinds of wrestling fans that are out there. And one of those types is WWE fans. There's nothing wrong with that. If WWE is all you watch, if it's all you've ever known, if it's your only exposure to professional wrestling, that's fine. I'm not begrudging anybody their preferences. I want to make that perfectly clear. If you're only a WWE fan, that's all that you care to watch, that's awesome. If that fills that, need for pro wrestling in your life, then go for it. I have no issue with that at all. Where I take issue is when people want to downplay or disrespect or just belittle, whatever word you want to use, condescend, however you want to say it, all of the other wrestling companies that are out there, that have been out there, that have been there in the past, that have contributed greatly to the professional wrestling business, and these people want to just crap all over it and act like it means nothing. And my whole point in this is, just because WWE is the biggest and the oldest does not automatically make them the best. And and this person that I was going back and forth with on Facebook, and if I was still doing the Troll of the Week segments, this woman would have won it for sure. But, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to put her name out there. I don't want her, honestly, I don't want her getting the attention. And this was, this was coming from my my personal Facebook page in one of the wrestling groups that I'm in. So, I'm not going to I'm not gonna call her out or anything, but her contention was, well, if it didn't happen in WWE, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry, that's the Vince McMahon mentality right there. His whole thing has always been, well, if it didn't happen in WWE, it didn't happen. Well, sorry, you're wrong. It's not even a matter of opinion. You're just wrong. I mean, this lady was talking about, WWE makes stars and this and that. Well, in the last 15 years, no, they have not. The last star WWE made, and I've said this before, was John Cena. He's the last. There hasn't been another one since. I mean, the closest they've come that they've tried to do was Roman Reigns. And Roman has the tools to be that type of guy. He does. I'm not disparaging Roman at all. But, the fans just didn't accept him. So Roman has not so far gotten to that same level that of a John Cena and a Rock and a Stone Cold and a Hulk Hogan and things like that. It got to the point where I was, I didn't, I wasn't mean, wasn't nasty, was just, this woman was, talking about all these stars that WWE made, and I told her, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but Hulk Hogan was a creation of the AWA. The Ultimate Warrior got his beginnings in World Class, and Stone Cold was born in ECW. That's where that character's roots are at. When he got to WWE, it obviously got a bigger platform, a bigger audience. It got polished up a little bit, but the Stone Cold character was born in ECW. And this lady just wasn't having it. All AWA and high school gyms, and I seriously, legitimately started laughing when I read that. It's like, okay, you have no idea what the AWA is then, or was, I should say. I mean, 20,000 seat arenas, national TV on ESPN. Yeah, it's a high school gym. So yeah, that's basically my hot take for this week. Just because WWE is the biggest and the oldest does not mean they're the best. Especially right now. I mean, I'm still a WWE fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say WWE is terrible, because they're not. They've been around for almost 60 years. They're going to be around forever, it would appear. So, I'm not going to crap on WWE, but, I think there is other, better actual wrestling out there, as far as in-ring product and some of the storytelling. I mean, WWE still puts out some very good stuff, especially in the NXT brand. But, just like I said, being the biggest and being the oldest does not automatically make you the best. And I think that's what a lot of hardcore WWE fans tend to forget. They think just because WWE's been around forever and they're worldwide that it means that they're the best. No, they're just the biggest and the oldest. That's all. Best is subjective. So just because you think they're the greatest thing in the world doesn't make it so. So that's pretty much it for my hot take for this week, and that's gonna pretty much wrap the show up. Just a couple of things that I want to mention. The Wrestling Behind Ringside YouTube series will be debuting right now tentatively on August the 29th, and talked about this a little bit before. My buddy Cowboy Archie is putting together his own virtual wrestling show using the WWE 2K video game. So it's going to have created wrestlers with WWE superstars, legends, things like that on the matches and storylines are going to play out on this YouTube show that he's putting together. It sounds really, really cool. He's been telling me how things are coming together and the championships that he's created for the show and things like that. So definitely check it out. Like I said, tentatively set to launch for August the 29th. I'm sure that will be nailed down in the coming weeks, and we'll have we'll have it set in stone at some point. But that's a tentative date right now, is August the 29th. Also want to remind you guys, like I said, Wednesday during AEW Dynamite, the first match, which I'm assuming is going to be the TNT Championship match between Warhorse and Cody Rhodes, I will be doing a test live stream just to test out my my broadcasting equipment for the Warrior Wrestling show coming up, just to make sure everything's going to work with, like I said, with the mobile hotspot and things like that. So check it out on the Podbean app this coming Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. And it'll, like I said, it'll be very brief, just the first match, not the whole show of AEW Dynamite, just to, test out my equipment, make sure everything's working right before Warrior Wrestling coming up in a couple of weeks. Again, I want to thank everybody for listening, watching, and subscribing on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. On all social media, you can find the show at Catch Hook Shoot. Patreon.com/CatchHookShoot, which is still under construction for bonus content, so bear with me on that. ProWrestlingTees.com/CatchHookShoot. Head over there, check out the 2 brand new t-shirt designs that are on Pro Wrestling Tees, including the very first Indie Cut t-shirt designed by Charlie G himself. And check out our new merchandise store, CatchHookShoot.BigCartel.com. We've got some other brand new t-shirt designs over there, as well as a brand new hat design. This week only, to celebrate the opening of the store, you get 10% off your entire order when you use the code CHS10. So that's CHS10, and the website again is catchhookshoot.bigcartel.com. So head over there, check out the new shirts, check out the hat. I'll be posting pictures of all the new merchandise on social media right after the show drops today. And if you ever want to shoot me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. So with that, I'm going to wrap things up. Hope everybody has a great week. Enjoy all the great wrestling that's going to be going on this week, and I will talk to you guys soon.